Hi, my name's Ali Hurst. I live in Pontefract, West Yorkshire. I attend Hanel's online classes on a Wednesday afternoon, and she's asked me to share some of my sketchbook work with you. So here we go. Okay, so the first sketchbooks I'm going to show you. Um, these are more like travel journals and my local walks and kind of nature journals as well. So I usually start a journal off using my materials, see how they react on the paper and with each other. And also I can pare them down, so I'm not taking so much away with me when I go on holiday. These are just really quick sketches I did on the ferry to Mull. I'll often put little comments in. It was winter, so the light is fading. It's very misty. Water is milky jade in colour, and it just reminds me of what it was like. A bit self-conscious sketching in public, so I hid it under the table a little bit, and also so people don't know that you're sketching them. They're not particularly great sketches, but they really give a feel for and remind me of where I was. Um, Capturing the first morning, looking out the window from where we stayed in Tobermory. I often use these panels so that they're not too big a picture to work on. You can get them done quickly. This is like the nature journal aspect of it. I find information out about the place where I am. I'll sometimes use a double spread, which is quite a lot of nice room for a pretty landscape. Again, panels, I use ink drawings initially if I don't have time, and I'll finish later at the property where we're staying. But you can get quite a nice overview. This was at Iona Abbey and on the island of Iona. Some close-ups, there's a little dead baby starfish that caught my eye. And also the nice thing about sketching outside is you're under a little bit of pressure time-wise, especially with family and friends. You don't want them sort of hanging about in the cold, waiting whilst you're finishing a whole painting. But that sense of urgency gives these a really lovely quality of line. Um, I will have probably put the colour in afterwards when I got back. This is more local, where I go for a local walk. This is one of my favourite trees, and I will revisit this through the seasons. In a local churchyard, it was absolutely freezing that day, but I was testing out my materials and had a good time. And the reason why I bookmarked this page is because I also like to prepare a page beforehand, a few days or even weeks. I'll put an acrylic wash down of colours. This was up near Aberdeen on the coast, so it's all dry, and then I can start painting on top of it or drawing on top of it when I'm out. And you're also not faced with this sort of blank white page, which can be quite intimidating. This is what it would look like. This is just a simple ink wash with a bit of salt in it. I've not used this one yet, but I will do. I did this entirely outside, actually, on location. I really enjoyed doing that. It was on Mull again, mixed media, working in layers. That was just experimenting. Again, this is more detailed, so I finished this off when I got back, but you can see where I've already prepared the page with this, and then I've painted on top. This is a similar sort of journal. It's coming through springtime, so I'm interested in the flowers. I would do what I call walking and drawing. I'll do warm-up exercises, contour drawings of what I can see, very basic. And then I'll come home and work on composition and colour and experiment with mark making. And through repetition of these drawings that I've done outside, I'm learning all the time what I'm enjoying doing, what colours I'm enjoying working with. You can see I'm really into this directional line work and just interesting shapes that I've collected for future reference, really. Yeah, this one you can see I'm really interested in the very dark backgrounds, and again the walking and drawing. It's kind of a jumble. of leaves and things because it was really thick undergrowth. I'm playing with a darker background now, and then I've simplified it, taking all the sort of noise out of it, working with ink and the negative space, and then I did take this on to more finished pieces, again working with colour. And this black, I'm really taken with this. And then interspersed, I've been on my travels. This is Robin Hood's Bay. I prepared this beforehand because this paper isn't very good for a lot of wet in wet work, and I do like to work like that. So I gessoed the pages, and it looks, you get some beautiful puddling of paint, this lovely effect when you use watercolour or ink on top. Again, that's the place where we stayed. And I haven't done anything with this yet, but I really like this. It's got a sort of Japanesey feel. I really like with the negative space I've been filling in with the black. It's given these irregular lines, so I would definitely be doing something more with that, and I can use that for reference. And as I was looking through all my old sketchbooks, I came across this one, which I used when I lived in London and I attended Hanel's in-person classes. And we were doing about Giuseppe Arcimboldo, who, if you don't know, did portraits of kind of composites of vegetables and anything from nature. So I chose Ted Hughes, and I particularly liked this because of his aquiline nose. It reminded me of a hawk, and of course he did poetry about hawks and lots of other animals. I did quick sketches and some research. I got some reference photographs of animals and that were related to the poems, and sketched out a composite of all those shapes, and then did a more finished piece. Well, actually, I gridded up this, which I wouldn't need to grid anymore, actually. So by looking back over my work, you realise how far you've come really over the years. And I did a coloured pencil drawing in the end. This is about the Cockney Heritage Project, the Battle of Cable Street. I chose, and I'd seen an exhibition of George Bellows that inspired me because of the energy in his work. So I was practicing doing mark making. I hope you can see this okay. I chose this photograph of a scene from the Battle of Cable Street, and then I experimented trying to get that energy and kind of violence from it with pastel and ink. But what it's kind of taught me is that it's really important to look back over your sketchbooks to refresh those ideas, to give you inspiration to sort of move forwards. And also that I really like this big format. So I think I'm going to adopt that when I'm doing future work. This is just a very cheap sketchbook from Ryman's, cost about £10. It's not brilliant paper, but it's enough. And this is where I do my scruffy stuff, where it doesn't matter what happens, you know. So I'm working on marks and textures and how my new materials are interacting, because I want to be prepared for when I go on my Orkney holiday, the Islands of Orkney, in the summer. So I'm already practicing for that. Doing some more layering. I'm really taken with this sort of technique, and of course I make my notes so I don't forget in the future. And this was just mark making exercise, and I really like it. There's something that's really triggered my interest. I don't know where it's going to go. I love the energy of it, the mixed media, the colours. I like everything about it, and it was just purely accidental. But I'm sure that this is going to inform some project or other I'll be doing in the future. And this is something that's very useful. I think it's called glycine or glycine paper, and because it can come through inks, I can protect the pages underneath. And finally, this is a sketchbook that I really enjoy working in. I have a lot of fun. I call it my weirdo sketchbook. It's a Muji pocket notebook, and it's made in Japan. I think it's Midori paper. I don't know if you can pick up that sound, but it's very crinkly, crunchy sounding paper. It's very strong, although it doesn't feel it at first, but it takes a lot of water, and inks and watercolours act in a really interesting way. So I will sort of paint wet in wet with inks, watercolours, and acrylic inks, and then when it's dry, I'll add things on top. And I would do this most days. I've not done it for a while, and you start to recognise little signature marks and things that I'm really enjoying, and developing your own collection of marks that is unique to myself. I think I use a little dotter for this. I create little characters. I should find a name for her, really. Little creatures, again, you can see the same things occurring. I like drawing stringy things out for some reason. Bright colours are creeping in. Always eyes. I really like the sort of black and white. Same thing. There's so many. There's too many for you to see. And this is with some very vivid acrylic ink. Some really unusual marks came through on this, so I'll make a note of that. Yeah, so that's about it, really. I hope this has been helpful, and that it inspires anyone who's considering taking up a regular sketchbook practice. And thank you very much for watching.